What's good, Wizards fans? It's your hosts, the real Ed Oliver and Brandon Scott. Today we're going to talk about the Phoenix Suns reportedly having interest in trading for Monte Morris and a couple of quotes from Ted Leonsis on the Woj pod. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's PrizePicks.com, promo code Locked On. All right, so today we're going to talk about the reported news from Jake Fisher saying that the Phoenix Suns reportedly have interest in trading for Monte Morris. So they do have interest in other point guards. Reportedly, they're interested in trading for the Knicks point guard Emmanuel Quickly, Celtics guard Peyton Pritchard, and also Kings guard Davion Mitchell. The article goes on to say from Jake Fisher saying Phoenix also monitored Washington table setter Monte Morris and Miami guard Gabe Vincent. According to league sources, of course, there was a report that came out a couple of days ago that they were going to waive Chris Paul. Then that was kind of retracted or taken back. Now they're going to try to find a trade partner for Chris Paul. So we'll see what happens with Chris Paul, but it looks like he's going to be on his way out the door for the Phoenix Suns. So, Brandon, what's your thoughts about this news or report from Jake Fisher that the Phoenix Suns are monitoring Monte Morris' situation? We're going to get into a mock trade about Monte Morris after you answer this question.
Well, it's welcome news for Monte and for the Wizards because, while I do appreciate his time in DC, he came in, he did his job, but obviously we're wanting more out of that position, especially as far as a distributor, a guy who can drive the lane, collapse defenses, and really utilize shooters. And, Monte Morris, again, did his job here in DC, but we just want more. I think going to Phoenix would be a good move. I don't know if they're going to start him, where he fits on their roster, but he has value. So that tells me that, depending on the direction of this team, whether it's a retool or a rebuild, we have guys who have value that we can kind of flip and get, I believe it was a package. A lot of my drafts, I believe it was like a couple of second round picks. Landry Shamet was an option. So, you're not going to get a super big package in return for Monte, but I think that, this front office shows that they can accumulate picks. So if you're able to get, a couple second rounders, maybe get a role guy, then I think that would be a good pickup for the Washington Wizards, especially with this front office, man. They know how to utilize picks. So I'll be for it because, again, what's his place in Washington going forward? Obviously on the defensive end, he's not superior to DeLon because DeLon defensively wise is just the man. You look at Jordan Goodwin with his energy. So it appears he has no place anymore, especially, because it's not a secret that the Wizards are looking at point guards. So I think for his career, I welcome it because I want to see him successful. He came into DC, for 1 year, he did his job. And, I hold nothing against Monte, man. It's just it's time to find that point guard of the future for our organization. But the Phoenix trade would be good for him. Now, I don't know if they're going to, make him start. I don't know what his place would be in Phoenix, but, let's get him some playoff time. So I would be definitely for it.
Yeah, Monte, yeah. I mean, like you said, he's a good player. He's just a backup point guard in this league. I think we try to make him as the starting point guard. Of course, Wes Unseld Jr. brought him over with the Nuggets connection, but it just hasn't hit what the Wizards need or what they're looking for. He's a guy that's not really going to get into the paint and get past guys and get into the teeth of the defense and create opportunities or open shots for other guys or lobs for Gafford or lobs for KP. He just wasn't really doing that. Now, he did average, 5 or 6 assists a game, had a really good turnover to assist ratio, but he's just a steady Eddie guy, good mid-range jump shooter, good three-point shooter as well. He's just a solid point guard, but the Wizards need more from the point guard spot. I think he's a solid player right for the Suns now because when Chris Paul didn't play, KD and Booker, they went off in the playoffs. So that's the way the Suns are looking at it. They're like, okay, we can move on from Chris Paul. We can just get somebody in there that's cheaper. Now, Monte Morris, he probably would fit a little bit better because every time somebody leaves the Wizards, of course, they play better than what they were with the Wizards. So I could see him going over there and being successful. We saw him be successful next to Jokic in Denver. He was a backup point guard to Jamal Murray. That's where he was best suited, really, to be a backup for Jamal Murray. But I just see him, going over there, and he probably would start because the only point guard they got over there right now is Cameron Payne. If they do trade away Chris Paul or waive Chris Paul, the only point guard on the roster he really would have is Cam Payne right now at the moment, because in the playoffs when Chris Paul didn't play, Devin Booker was really running the show, and KD they just took turns handing the ball, and their pace went up. Now pushing the pace, if that's what they're looking for fast basketball, then they're not going to get that from Monte. So really, it would just have to be the KD and Booker show for the most part. But I would be happy for Monte. He would go to a contender, and maybe we get some draft picks back and just look towards the future. So let's get to the mock trade here. So this is from Wiz of Oz, a Wizards site. They reacted to our trades on Bleacher Report. So you guys can go on Bleacher Report, look at our trades, our mock trades that we made on Bleacher Report. I'm not the best trade machine guy, so it is what it is. You guys can definitely have your laughs and your takes on the trades that we put up on there. Brandon had a couple good trades on there as well. But so they have us trading Monte Morris to the Suns for Landry Shamet, a 2025 second-round pick, and a 2026 second-round pick, and the Suns just give Monte Morris. So we give up Monte Morris for basically Landry Shamet and 2 second-round picks.
That's not bad, man, because like I said, there's a couple of second-rounders, but you got to ask yourself, man, what can we really get from Monte? We know what he can and can't do, so I would definitely say yes, but saying that, I'm really checking, what's going around the league, because see what you can get, because where do you play Shamet? You already got Kispert, you got Goodwin, DeLon. It's interesting to see where you play Shamet, but I'm all for it because you're getting something. This front office can utilize picks, man. If you look at OKC, man, they were grabbing, oh man, I mean, if you look at their treasure trove of picks, I mean, second rounders, I think, there's two things looking at second rounders with this new regime in DC is that one, they can get value out of second round picks as opposed to Ernie or Tommy, where we're drafting guys who again are playing in Siberia or somewhere else. But two, with that, you can flip those picks and go higher. There's just leeway with drafting with second rounders, man. So I'm all for it. Getting any kind of value out of Monte because, again, obviously he's not the guy for the future, man. So, and definitely put him, here's another thing. You brought it up too, E, is you're putting him in a position where there's longevity for his career. The thing is thank you for your service. He came here, you did his job, but, put him in a position where he can, go to the playoffs and have some success. So, yes, I think it's a winnable trade.
Yeah, we need to get younger and faster and more explosive at the point guard position. Guys that are coming out, Anthony Black, Hassan Wallace. So those are some guys that could definitely improve the point guard position. Even if they trade back and get like Jalen Hood, Shafano out of Indiana, or Kobe Buffkin out of Michigan, those would be guys that are quicker and more explosive than Monte Morris at that spot, is just more creative getting to the basket. And then you look at Monte's value, really. We just traded him for KCP. And Ish Smith involving Will Barton. So that kind of tells his trade value right there. Ish Smith was kind of just a throw-in player. Ish Smith's not even getting any minutes on the Nuggets. So it was really just Monte Morris and Will Barton for KCP, because KCP is the player that the Nuggets really, really wanted. And KCP is the guy that's getting big minutes in the finals. And he's playing in his role. He's another guy that's being successful. He played well with the Wizards. I'm going to say that KCP was a lot better with the Nuggets, but he's another guy that would go into another team and fit in their role and contribute really good minutes and make another final. There's always a former Wizards player that always goes to a new team and they play the final. So Monte Morris, if he goes to the Suns, he might be added to that list. But I think the trade is good value. I know the second round picks, 2025, 2026, they would be later picks in the second round. Landry Shamet, he's a good shooting guard. He's a good shooter. We do need more shooting. He's not a point guard at all. He's more of a shooting guard. He's an off-ball guy. Not really going to bring the ball up a lot, but we do need more shooting. We do need more spacing. He's making $10 million a year. Monte's making about $9 million per year. I gotta look that up real quick.
Yes, sir.
Monte's making about $9 million a year. So it's an even money trade right there. So I wouldn't mind it in 2 second round picks. Personally, that might be a little bit much for Monte, because like I said, we basically had to throw him and Will Barton just to essentially get KCP. So that kind of really tells you his trade value. He didn't really bump up his trade value either, because him and DeLon Wright combined were the lowest scoring combined starting point guards in the league. They were the bottom. They were the worst in scoring. Monte averaged about 10. DeLon averaged about like 8 or 9 points a game. And DeLon's not a scorer. That's not his calling card. But that kind of shows you just the production that we got from the point guard position for the Wizards. So personally, I don't mind the trade at all. You get a good shooter back and 2 second-round picks. And if, Monte's not in our future, if Michael Winger doesn't see him in our future, Will Dawkins, then you might as well find a trade partner for Monte Morris.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think it would be a winnable trade for both parties because, Monte, even let's be real, even if they try to start him, he's only starter by default because, Booker and KD are running the show. Right. So it's not, they're going to be bringing the ball up a lot more than he was. So it's kind of, I think it's a winnable trade for both parties, man. Because like I said, I like Monte to go to a situation where he can play and contribute, but he's just not it for the future, which is cool because we know that. Ownership knows that, so let's find that guy. But yeah, it's very winnable trade. So I'm definitely saying yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and last thing I'll say, Monte, he was upset about somebody on Twitter. He blocked some people on Twitter talking about him getting traded. So I do remember that a couple of weeks ago. So all right, we're gonna move on to a couple quotes here before we do get into that. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. It's so easy to get caught up in what everyone else needs from you and never take a moment to think about what you need from yourself. But when we spend all of our time giving, it can leave us feeling stretched thin and burnt out. Giving all my time to work and family, I love my family, but there are some times where I'm just burnt out after work and talking all day. Therapy can give you the tools to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Now for everydayers, check out our episode tomorrow. Most likely we'll be talking about the rumors for the Wizards being interested in Emmanuel Quickly and Obi Toppin, or we can talk about the Wizards reportedly being interested in Caris LeVert. A lot of rumors are starting to heat up. A lot of reports starting to heat up because the draft is on June 22nd. It is getting closer and closer and closer, and then free agency starts at the end of the month as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun for the next couple of weeks here. So, all right. So I'm going to bring up a quote here from Ted Leonsis. He went on the Adrian Wojnarowski podcast just talking about the Wizards. He basically talked about Tommy Shepard. He said that he doesn't like firing executives, but the last guy that he had as GM didn't have a plan. We were just trading guys. So I'll read one quote here really quick that we thought stood out from the interview talking about this is the quote right here. So Woj asked Ted Leonsis about chasing the middle. How does it feel about chasing the middle? Basically being in that treadmill situation that we are in right now. He says, quote, Ted responded saying, quote, we've made a lot of trades. We've signed so many players. We dressed so many players for the last 3 or 4 years, but we ended up with the same record. What was your thought about when Ted Leonsis said that?
Man, looking at his comments, man, I got to say, I've been very impressed with Ted this offseason, bro. Right. Because he's listening to the fan base. He's recognizing the pulse of the fan base. There's two groups, obviously, and, there's like the guys that want to go forward what we got, even though I believe that is a minority. And a lot of fans who just want something else, to rebuild, retool, just something new, man, because you can't continue to do the same thing. And he knows that. Like, if you look at a lot of the comments he's made, whether from the press conference or through the podcasts, he recognizes that you cannot do the same thing and expect different results. You've got to make a change. And unfortunately, there's a lot of buzz, especially surrounding Bradley Beal, what his future is going forward. Obviously, Bradley Beal, he holds all the cards. But he recognizes that, man, it's tough to navigate around that contract. We've tried. We've tried this. We're going to year 2. And, under Tommy Shepard, man, we've tried to make these Band-Aid moves, man, where just they don't really take you anywhere. But it's just we got to stop. We got to try something new. We got to really try something. And he recognized that. So looking at that quote and a lot of the quotes he's made in that, like I said, the press conference and the Wojnarowski podcast, man, that's a good one. There's a couple, and there's another one he said, I made a lot of, that one, let's see. Another one I like is great organizations have an identity and a plan and a belief in the plan. And that's what we need to do here. That is another quote, again, like the one you brought up, that tells me he gets it. Because Ernie Grunfeld, but Tommy Shepard, neither one of them had a plan. There was no plan. We said it last year. I'm pretty sure we've been years, they had no plan. They're making these Band-Aid moves where your team's good enough to maybe make the play in the playoffs, but the ultimate goal has to be championship. And that was brought up during the press conference. And you're hearing a lot more of that with the interactions from Ted Leonsis, even Michael Winger, that the ultimate goal should be championship. I said it a lot last year, is that if your goal is not the championship from day one, you've already failed. A championship. This fan base is hungry for a championship, man. We haven't had one since 1978, man. And, and you look at teams like Golden State, you look at teams like Cleveland, who are able to take those steps and get championships, and it's time. It's time to do something else. So it's really refreshing to see Ted Leonsis take this change and really give Michael Winger a lot of leeway to, go for a potential rebuild. He's really, really changing the way he, comes at. I love it. I love it. I really do, because Ted Leonsis has been dope this entire offseason, man. He's made the right choices. He's listening to the pulse of the fans. And look, we both know I was very, very highly critical of Ted Leonsis last year. But why was I critical? For the points you just said. My problem was expectations. Championship not being an expectation or a goal. It's things like that I brought up. Not having a goal, not having a vision going forward. And, he's recognizing that. So I'm not mad, and I'm loving what I hear from him. He's saying all the right things. We have to have a vision. You have to have, something you're working towards, something that you're trying to implement. And I see that now. So now I'm very impressed, bro.
Yeah, he's acknowledging the fans. Now, some of that is his fault. Tommy Shepard, yes, he didn't have a plan, but some of that is Ted's fault, because the mandate was to make the playoffs with a plan. It was plan or bust, where with Michael Winger, Will Dawkins, and Travis Schlenk, he's giving them the autonomy to rebuild or retool, to make any decisions that they want. They don't, they still have to answer, of course, to Ted, but they have the plan. If they really want to gut the roster or start from the studs, they can actually do that. Where Tommy, he did have to retool every time. He couldn't, trade Brad or start over. He did have to keep going with guys that, he thought they could make the playoffs and made the plan. He couldn't tear it to the studs. Now, he is starting to realize that, because even in the interview, he brought up a time where they had Anton, they had Karan, they had Gil, and he said they had to trade 3 All-Stars and they had to rebuild. They got John, they got Brad, they got Otto. That was the first time that they actually re-signed some of their draft picks. They actually re-signed John Wall. They actually re-signed Bradley Beal. They re-signed Otto Porter, which they haven't done since then. And then they rebuilt and they got better. And then they actually had a chance to get a free agent, but they whiffed on. He didn't say Kevin Durant's name, but they whiffed on Kevin Durant. So basically, this kind of emulating, it's kind of history repeating itself. Of course, Brad and this solid 3 is nowhere near as good as the real big 3 of Karan, Gil, and Anton. But it's 3 guys that do have legitimate value that you can move for draft picks, or good players that you can flip them for draft picks to get a better future, and you can build a team within 3 years and be a perennial playoff contender. So, and Ted acknowledged the fans too. He said in the interview, he said, quote, "I was frustrated. I really was reflecting to how I felt. I let down the fan base." That's something new that we've never heard. Ted Leonsis has been a guy that's blocked fans on Twitter for going after him or just disagreeing with him. He's actually blocked people on Twitter. Everyone knows. He also said everyone knows who they need to report to. I have to report to the fans, and our fans have been loyal. I don't feel like I was giving the fans something to cheer for. End quote. Yeah, and he hasn't. I mean, we've been mediocre. Also, the identity point that you brought up, we don't have one. We just don't. We're a finesse team. We're changing and switching, making trades at the last minute. The KP trade, the Porzingis trade was a great trade, but that was the last minute of the deadline. Then this past year, we didn't make any trades at all. When we needed bench scoring, we gave away Rui. We lost our bench scoring. We didn't make any trades at the deadline to make this team better, to actually push them in to the playoffs or even the play-in. And then the year before, you traded for Dinwiddie. That didn't work out. So yeah, Tommy was definitely scrambling at the last minute, just trying to make the playoffs. Now the Gafford trade was a good trade. You did end up with Kuz at one point. The KP trade for Bertans and Dinwiddie, that was a great trade to get some type of value for those guys who were really bad here. But yeah, I mean, when you're not drafting well and then your trades don't work out, it's kind of like, what was Tommy really doing well? And it was time to let him go after that Rui trade was bad. And then the Monte Morris and Will Barton for KCP trade, that didn't work out either. So yeah, I can see why. We all see why it was time for Ted. But Ted, he's turned over a new leaf, man. He's listening to the fans. He's acknowledging the fans. He's saying that DC is a destination. It should be a free agent destination, and it should be. It's the nation's capital. I mean, it's not like, we're just a random city. Like we're a legitimate city where we have a football team, we have a baseball team, we have a basketball team. Like we have all these things in DC, the nation's capital. I mean, it's a vacation city. It's a visiting city. All the monuments, everything that we have, it's a beautiful city. It definitely deserves more than what we're getting. We should not be a small market, bottom of the barrel team that hasn't made the playoff, the second round or past the second round since 1978. You said in 1979, you said the same thing about the football team. The football team should be a legitimate perennial playoff team. Look how the city was when the Skins at the time were doing well, So I mean, it's a sleeping giant. This team, it really is.
Well, you said the perfect comment, man. You said small market. I think he's had to redefine what success is. Get out of that small market mind frame, because this is not a small market. We're serving the DC, Virginia, Maryland area, which is a major metropolitan area. So it is not a small market, but he has to redefine what success is. Success to other organizations is championships. Let's be totally honest here. We haven't won the title since 1979, and we're selling. Look, a big fan of Gilbert Arenas, Karan Butler, and Antoine Jameson. I love that team. Real good team. But let's be real. They only made it so far, and we're celebrating them. we're doing celebrations of it. They didn't win any championships. If you look at John Wall era, they were a good team. I was a big fan of Markieff Morris acquisition. I didn't think we should have brought back Otto Porter, but that's a whole nother conversation. But with John Wall and Bradley Beal in that backcourt, they were a good backcourt. But we only made it so far. We went to within a game of the Eastern Conference Finals. So we have to redefine what success is. What is success? To me, success is championships. Making the playoffs every year is not success, because the ultimate goal should be championship. And I think he understands that now. He's had to redefine what success is to him. Is really making the playoffs every year to play in success, or is hoisting that trophy at the end of the year, the last game of the year, really success? And it should be. I'm really looking at the comments made by Michael Winger and Will Dawkins. They recognize that championships should be the ultimate goal and the ultimate reward. Making the playoffs should not be enough, especially now, man. They had to add in a playing tournament to try to get more teams in the playoffs. Making the playoffs just ain't enough anymore. And they said another comment to me that really I love: generational contention. Not having a team, a franchise who can compete for years on end, decades on end. Creating an atmosphere of contention, of championship fervor, man. This is what we need. DC is no slouch. I love DC. I was raised here, and it's my favorite city. I don't care. We can go up against any city, and I'm telling you, DC is a dope city. If you don't like go-go, man, I don't know what to tell you, man. If you don't like half smokes, man, or mumbo sauce, I don't know what to tell you, man. This is a lovely city that I don't think has ever been the problem with the city, is that the organization, how it's run, how, it's just, I think that's what it is. So really, I agree with Ted. With him redefining what success is and bringing in a competent front office, you will see people come to DC, because players aren't stupid. Players understand organizations, hit organizations. Players know that this organization has a good front office. This one doesn't. They understand that, this coaching staff is, unexperienced, and it goes back to Wes and his struggles that, I think a lot of his struggles had to do with him being a rookie head coach and a veteran core, and the respect, having to gain that respect. So, I love what I'm hearing from this front office, man, because they're recognizing that a competent front office is what you need to go forward. Tommy Shepard was just, I don't know what his deal was, man. He wasn't very transparent with the fan base, and that burned a lot of bridges with the fans, because tell us what's going on, man. Don't laugh and go joke and, we didn't make the plan, but we're going to bring everybody back. It's like, what? You just said we didn't make the plan. So, it's just having somebody who's transparent. Michael Winger and the staff, Schlink, Dawkins, they came in, they were really transparent with us, saying, look, we have failed to live up to expectations of what we should be trying to do. So that's where I'm at, man. They're saying all the right things, but I'm going to say this. They're saying all the right things, and I'm loving what they're saying, but the real work is starting to begin.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, it's the honeymoon period where everybody says the right thing. Everybody loves the press conference because they're new. They're the new kids on the block or the new girl at school, whatever. Everything they say, everybody's going to agree with, and they love it. But they are saying the right things. I do believe. I love their track record. Travis Schlenk was good with Atlanta. They made these conference finals. Will Dawkins was good with OKC. Look at their draft picks. And Michael Winger was really good with the Clippers. They made a couple playoff runs here and there. And even though he's not the basketball decision maker, he's still been great there. Only thing, only free agent we were ever to attract is Paul Pierce. And that speaks volumes right there. We couldn't even get KD, who was a guy from DC, couldn't even come home. So that hurt. Al Horford, we tried to get him. That didn't work out. But yeah, Go-Go, I love Go-Go. It's not nationally known, but it is one of the great things about DC for sure. Mumbo sauce is starting to get nationally known. But we're gonna make a finals prediction here, or we'll get to any more quotes or finals prediction. But we got a quick word from Brandon.
Yes, sir. Tonight's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. So you're probably wondering, how does PrizePicks work? Well, you pick 2 to 6 players, and if they go score more or less than their PrizePicks projection, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. That's right, 25 times your money. No competing against other people, it's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you can watch. This includes the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NHL, PGA Golf, college football, men's and women's college basketball, soccer, the WNBA, esports, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing, disc golf, Euro basketball, cricket, and more. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. It's safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code Locked On to sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. All right.
Yes, sir. All right. What's your thoughts on the finals and who you got winning this next game? The Nuggets are up 3-1, and they're back in Denver, man. So it's not looking too good for the Heat.
Stick a fork in them. They're done. This series is over, man. It's over.
Right.
Man, I'm saying, man, Denver, they're gonna be around for a while in the West, man. They have a solid squad, man. So it's over.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I got the Denver Nuggets finishing. I want to see more basketball, but I think this is over, and then we're just gonna focus on the draft after that. So it's gonna be 4-1. It's unfortunate to see how the Western Conference Finals, that was a sweep. We did get a game 7 from the Heat and the Celtics, but that was a blowout. And then the Nuggets, it was a lot of backdoor passes that I saw. Aaron Gordon couldn't be stopped. He went for like 27. The Heat, they just don't have they do have Bam, but other than that, they don't really have a big man with presence in there, like a defensive stopper or rim protector, like Cody Zeller's their backup. They have no bigs at all. I mean, the tallest big they have is Bam. He's 6'9" or 6'10" on a good day. So Aaron Gordon, he's really dominating. Jokic, of course, he's dominating. They can't stop either of those two guys in the paint at all. And I think the Heat, they overachieved. I mean, for them to make it this far, even making it past the first round, I was shocked. I really was. I didn't think they were going to make past the first round. Then the Knicks, I was like, okay, they can beat the Knicks, but the Celtics, I was very surprised by that as well. So I mean, the Heat, they definitely overachieved, and they ran into a really good team in the Nuggets for Jokic. So Jokic is probably going to win the Finals MVP, and he's going to set history with the points, rebounds, and assists that he's gotten. So I do think they're going to. It might be a blowout too. It might be a blowout in Game 5 in the Nuggets' favor.
Yeah, it's over, man. But there's 2 things I'm gonna bring up real quick before we roll, man. Number 1, Denver drafting. I'm trying to tell you, Jokic, where was he drafted? I'm just saying. There you go. I mean, their ability to draft. I mean, Michael Porter Jr., they took a risk on him because he had the injury issues of going all the way back to Missouri. So, he was, a lot of teams were kind of skeptical of getting Michael Porter Jr., man, because I know he's struggled, but look at his performance this year, man. When he's healthy, Michael Porter Jr. can shoot the rock. But then Denver shows that when it's time to take that leap, you make that move. KCP was that move, man, for Denver, especially 3-and-D role that put them where they're at, in my opinion. So you got to look at their blueprint and how they made this team up, man. A lot through the draft and finding these under the radar moves, because KCP is not a marquee name per se. But his acquisition, just like DeLon for us last year, DeLon was very important for us. If you look at how bad our defense was when he left. So these little moves under the radar are these moves that, really push teams over the edge. And 2, put some respect on Jimmy Butler's name. I mean, you don't see many talents that really, Jimmy Butler, man, if you look at a lot of the issues he had in Minnesota, not thinking that people weren't really taking things serious, brother man takes it serious. Like he influences games. Like he takes it serious. Heart, man. So I think that after this year, we got to start putting more respect on Jimmy Butler's name, man, because he has that Mamba kind of mentality, man. He just, like you said, to be able to beat the Celtics. I think most NBA fans thought the Celtics were in the NBA Finals. How they pushed them to 7, man, says a lot about the Heat. But like you said, man, Bam Adebayo just can't check Jokic. So again,
Yeah.
stick your fork in them because they're done.
Yeah. I mean, nobody can check Jokic, and Jimmy Butler's done a heck of a job, and Ted Leonsis, he brought up the Heat in the interview as well, talking about their identity. They have an identity where they have, smaller names or guys that are not on big contracts, undrafted guys, second round guys, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Caleb Martin, guys on lower contracts who are no name guys, just work hard, blue collar guys, and that's what he's kind of trying to emulate with the Wizards, find some type of identity. The Heat certainly have an identity as well, and it kind of shows. It reminds me of the Tommy Shepard trade too, where they could have consolidated when we had Montrezl Harrell, Kuz, and Spencer and Aaron Holiday. We just had so many guys on the team kind of at the same level, and that's where guys butted heads too. And I think that might be what Ted is talking about too, where we just had so many guys and new faces on the roster where they really should have consolidated and traded these guys before the season even started.
Yeah, I think we both agree, man, that we need some dogs up in DC, man.
Definitely,
we need some guys who are willing to sacrifice their body, some guys that get nasty on defense. We need some dogs, man. So,
right.
So,
but yeah, we're gonna wrap it up for tonight. Thank you guys for listening. Making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Now, for everydayers, make sure you guys check us out for the rest of the week. We're gonna talk about the Wizards having interest in Emmanuel Quickly and Obi Toppin and Karis LeVert, and then also some draft stuff this week as well. Thank you guys for listening. Held to the Wizards. Peace.